This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks. No contracts. Lots of stuff to get into today. What a performance last night by LeBron James. What a shot by LeBron James. What a block by LeBron James. And even that is secondary to what we witnessed from Russell Westbrook last night and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Here's all you need to know, ladies and gentlemen. Here's all you need to know. With 8 minutes and 36 seconds left in the third quarter, the Utah Jazz were blowing the Oklahoma City Thunder and Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook and Paul George out of their own building in Oklahoma City with 8:35 left in the third quarter. By the time 32 seconds was left in the third quarter, the same quarter, the score was tied. The score was tied. What an unbelievable performance we witnessed last night from Russell Westbrook. It was something to behold. And we will get into that in a little bit as this show progresses right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. But tonight is the night of the NFL Draft. And unfortunately, the lead story is not that the Browns are suddenly looking at Baker Mayfield as the top pick in the NFL Draft. The lead story is not that the Jets may have been screwed because they moved up to the number 3 slot in hopes of grabbing a Baker Mayfield. The lead is not that the New York Giants are going to draft Saquon Barkley, or they may end up taking Sam Darnold out of USC. The lead is not Josh Rosen and his opinionated tendencies and whether or not that may cost him being a high pick in this NFL draft. The lead is not Josh Allen and whether or not his talents out of Wyoming, despite the fact that he's only completed 56% of his passes last season, warrants him being the number 1 overall pick. Oh, no. None of that are the top angles that we get to broach today. The news of the day is very, very simple. The lead news heading into this NFL draft is that Josh Allen apparently did not do a good enough job of checking his Twitter account, the timeline associated with it, and making sure that tweets that should never be seen were deleted. Turns out that it was not. And as a result, here we are, Josh Allen, quarterback out of Wyoming, is now looking at his future under a different lens. Apparently his draft stock may be in a bit of trouble. On the eve of the NFL draft, offensive tweets from the potential number 1 pick surfaced on social media. He acknowledged to yours truly via a phone call at about 2 a.m. this morning. He acknowledged that indeed those were his tweets. He apologized profusely. He labeled himself young and dumb. The tweets no longer appear on his account. However, they contained racial slurs and other offensive language, according to Yahoo Sports, who originally revealed the tweets. The tweets cited by Yahoo Sports were sent in 2012 and 2013 when Allen was in high school. When I spoke to him, ladies and gentlemen, personally and exclusively at the time, because now Chris Mortensen just spoke to him within the last hour, Josh Allen was like, look, there's no excuse. I was wrong. I was hanging out with buddies. A lot of times, we steal each other's phone and put texts and tweets in there and all of this other stuff, messing around with each other. But that's not to blame anybody. It was on my account. I left it on there. I'm the one that ultimately has to be held accountable for it. One of the tweets he got was from the show Modern Family. If it ain't white, it ain't right. The others was where they were spewing the N-word. I don't think you N-words want a troubled son. Another one, N-word trying to get at me. Another one about to show up, these N-word at Pong, gonna do it, gonna do it, etc., etc. One was from what was it? Stay Screaming or whatever it is. Stay Scheming by Rick Ross. That's what he told me. It was true. You look at Rick Ross's lyrics from that song, that's where he seemed to have gotten one of them from. Modern Family, I saw it, I looked it up. It was true. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be a straight shooter. And here's the reality of the situation. Although, as a black person, you never want to hear the N-word coming out of anybody else's mouth. Anybody's mouth that ain't black. Particularly and specifically somebody white. Let me be very, very clear. This is the same thing that I said about DiVincenzo when folks were asking him about offensive tweets, you know, from when he was in high school, the night he won the national championship for Villanova and the most outstanding player award. Let me be very, very clear with what I'm about to say. I hold adults far more accountable than I'll ever hold kids. This happened in 2012, 2013. Come on, y'all. I'm not condoning what Josh Allen did. I understand there's some people that's going to wonder what's in his soul, what's in his heart. Who is he really? What is he really all about? I understand those questions. And those are legitimate questions, but there is no way in hell that this should interfere with his potential draft stock. No way. If you were going to pick him number one, this shouldn't stop you. If you're going to pick him number two, this shouldn't stop you. If you want to pick him number 3, 4, and 5, this should not stop you. At all. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even want to think what my life would be like if I was judged upon what I did when I was age 15 to 16 years old. Josh Allen's 21 years old. When this happened, he was 15 or 16 years old in high school. Come on, everybody. Let's pump the brakes just a touch. Let's pump the brakes just a touch. Now, actions might be different. You assault somebody, rape somebody, murder somebody. That's different. That's harm to another human being. Regardless of your age, you got to pay the piper. But when the issue is just a poor use of words, I can't sit here with a straight face and try to hold a 15 to 16-year-old accountable. I can't do that. And I'm not going to. I'm not absolving Josh Allen from making those mistakes. I appreciate the fact that he acknowledged that he was young and dumb and immature and that he owned up to his mistake. I appreciate that. I was on the phone with him for about 20 to 30 minutes. He was incredibly contrite and apologetic, and he didn't make any excuses. He said, Mr. Smith, it was me. I was stupid. I messed up bad. He said, I even went on, the timeline. I asked him whether or not he told NFL teams about this. He said, no, I just tried to check my account and see to make sure it wasn't there. He said, and I didn't see anything. So I thought nothing of it and I moved on. Now, some people might look at that and they say, that's a form of guilt. You're trying to hide it. My point is, what are you supposed to do the night of the draft? What are you supposed to do in the immediate aftermath of Colin Kaepernick and the protest and the racial divide that it has caused within our nation and within the confines of professional football in the NFL? What are you supposed to do? Just stand up, admit it, and voluntarily, hey, y'all, look what I did. What are you supposed to do? We got to put stuff in its proper perspective and recognize the fact that, guess what? He shouldn't have done it. There is no doubt about that. But if he was fearful of the potential ramifications, how can we possibly hold him accountable for that? Is that not real? Is that not legitimate? The NFL uses every excuse under the sun to try and minimize you and your impact. They want an excuse to sit up there and label you and stain you. because it's a mechanism of control that can ultimately be used and exercised against you to keep you under wraps. Not to mention cost you money. What is he supposed to do? I am not going to be a person, me personally. I'm not going to sit here and hold a 15 or a 16-year-old accountable to that degree. Am I going to acknowledge they're wrong? You're damn right. And like I told Josh Allen, damn it, don't thank me. Make sure it better not happen again. You're bigger now. You're older now. You're wiser now. Make sure you don't repeat it. But it's very, very difficult for me. And I'm going to say this. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but damn it, it's the truth and I'm going to do it. When you're a kid, growing up in this day and age, in this culture, particularly if you're a hip-hop fan, which many, many, many white kids are, and they don't just love Eminem. Remember, Eminem became a hip-hop artist because he was a fan. And this particular black brother that you're listening to, I'm one of Eminem's biggest fans. I think he's sensational. But when we live in an age where hip-hop and some of the lyrics emanating from it is not only condoned, but damn near encouraged. And that's the generation that these kids are coming up in. Should they be alerted that if you're not black, it ain't all right? Yes. Should they be alerted that black folks don't want to hear there's a difference between the N-word that ends with the ER and the N-word that ends with the A? We don't give a damn about that. Not initially. When we reflect upon it, think about it hours or days or weeks later, we might give you some kind of a pass, but in the moment, it ain't gonna go down like that. Is it a double standard? In terms of white use of the word and black use of the word, you're damn right. Because we're not the group of people. We're not the ethnic group. We're not the demographic that made it iniquity. It's so iniquitous. So vicious. We didn't do that. There was another culture of people that made that word so heinous and so vile in the American vernacular. That wasn't us. So if you're radio or your television or whatever, of course you're right to say there should be no use of the word. And to be quite honest with you, when you see the residual impact that it's had on our community and our society, we should refrain from using the word. When I'm off the air, have I used it on occasion? Yes, I have. Nothing compared to what I used to, because I used to use it a lot. I'm not going to be phony and disingenuous with you. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show. We all family here. I'm not going to do that to you. But have I curtailed it and diminished its use significantly? Yes. Have I completely eradicated it from my vernacular? No, because it's hard to help, because I was saying it for the better part of 50 years of my life. So whereas before I used to say it like 50% of the time, now it's more like 5. But does it still slip out my mouth from time to time? Yes. And having said that, if a white person said it to me, it would be a problem. You don't get to do that. It's not the same. And I'm not going to take time, nor do most black folks that I know, are they going to take time to sit up there and decipher whether you truly, truly mean it in a harmful way, in an iniquitous way or not. They're not going to do that. Chances are they're going to be incredibly offended. Period. And you don't know what the ramifications are going to be. And to the white folks out there who think for 1 second that it is okay, I'm talking about adults now, for that think that it's okay, I have one suggestion for you and I'll shut the hell up. Go in the hood and say it. Go around a bunch of black people in the hood and say it. Go ahead. I dare you. I dare you. Go ahead. You ain't going to make it out of there. Not unharmed, I can promise you that. Which you know. So if you know it, why do it? Whereas Josh Allen and those youngsters may not have known. They might have talked to one another like that all the time. See the difference? I'm not saying you absolve them. I'm not saying that you give them a complete pass. I'm not saying that you ignore it like it's nothing. It's a teachable moment. But you don't condemn this man. And you don't harm this young man because of a mistake like that. When he can point out how he got it from one of Rick Ross's songs. Or Modern Family, if it ain't white, it ain't right. When he can literally point out that that's where he got it from. What's there to say? Why was it on TV? Why was it in the album? At some point in time, fairness and compassion must touch our souls when it comes to kids. That's what I said about DiVincenzo. That's what I'm saying about Josh Allen. If you don't take him number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, let it be because he was at Wyoming instead of Alabama or Ohio State or Louisville or something, or Oklahoma or UCLA or USC. Let it be because he was at Wyoming. Let it be because he only completed 56% of his passes. Let it be because his upside, while it may be tremendous, might take too long to touch upon, and there are better candidates that are ready to contribute right now. Don't let it be because of this tweet or these tweets. Don't do that. Not only does he deserve better than that, any kid deserves the benefit of the doubt under those circumstances. Especially when there's nothing in their history since that moment in time that would indicate that's who they are and that's what they're about. 888-SAY-ESPN, that's the number to call up. That's 888-729-3776. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. That's just one of the items we'll get into. The other item is the draft. How the hell did Baker Mayfield become the top quarterback that may be selected in the draft? What are the Cleveland Browns thinking about right now? And based on that report, if it's true, who are the Jets going to take? What if Baker Mayfield goes number 1? What if Sam Darnold goes number 2 to the Giants? What do the Jets do? Because they desperately need a quarterback. What do they do? We know that the Giants should probably take Saquon Barkley. But what if they don't? What should the Jets do? That's a huge, huge question mark, where we're in desperate need of an answer. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Outside of that, LeBron James. I just don't know what else to say. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to miss him when he's gone. We really, truly are. Listen, I can be critical of LeBron from time to time, even though I think that I'm far more complimentary of him than he and his camp ever give me credit for. But I do believe that there's not much else you can say about this guy. He seems superhuman physically. He does what it takes. He's committed to excellence, to taking care of himself, the condition that he's in his 15th year in the league. Juxtapose that to Carmelo Anthony, and it's sad. LeBron James is winning games, still recognized universally as the greatest player in the world. He was taken number 1 overall in the 2003 draft. Carmelo Anthony was taken number 3 overall. A prolific scorer and a career 24.7 points per game average. He has never been to an NBA Finals and was on the bench, standing on the sidelines, cheerleading when Russell Westbrook and Paul George brought these boys back from an insurmountable, it appears, 25-point deficit. 8 minutes and 35 seconds left, and within 32 seconds left, the score was tied after they were down 25 with 8:35 left. I have never seen a comeback like that. It is something special. Russell Westbrook, oh my God. What a performance. He took 39 shots. Now he scored 45 points. He took 39 shots. LeBron James scored 44 points, took 24 shots. So Russell Westbrook only had 1 more point and took 15 more shots. But what I'm saying is that comeback from a 25-point deficit, that performance by Russell Westbrook is one for the ages. It was simply something special to behold. We can't ignore it. We can't diminish it. It's that special. And as a result, I think Steve Smith on NBA TV said it best. He's not so sure anymore as to whether or not Utah is going to win the series because they don't want to come back to OKC after what just happened to them, which means that the only way to survive and move on is to win Game 6. Win Game 6 in Utah. And that is no guarantee. I just really don't know what to say. It was just something special to watch, y'all. It was really, really, really something special. 888, say ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Russell Westbrook, LeBron James. Which performance was greater? Russell Westbrook, did he save his legacy with this performance? Also, Josh Allen, making news for all the wrong reasons, dominating it, by the way. All that and more to touch on. And we will up next right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Everyone in the neighborhood knew about Bobby. Bobby, the basketball boy, they called him. Bobby wanted to go pro someday, so he was always out in the driveway shooting hoops. But one day, his mom came out and told him,
"Hey, your wife wants you to take out the trash?"
His mom was visiting, and Bobby was a grown man. He had kind of missed his window. Plus, no one had ever seen him actually make a basket. But on the other hand, Bobby had heard how Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved. So it was all good.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. Let's get right to the phones at 888-729-3776. That's 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Ethan in Rochester. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hi, Stephen A. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. Regarding the draft tonight, depending on who you listen to, everybody disagrees who should be the top pick, who should be second, who's the best player. I mean, the one thing that everybody does agree on, though, is that quarterbacks are pretty much a crapshoot. You never know if that guy's going to be a bust. He's going to be Peyton Manning or Jamarcus Russell. You have no idea. But the one thing everybody does seem to agree on is you take the best player available at number one, and that best player available is Saquon Barkley. So explain to me why the Browns should not take Barkley and let everybody else sort out which quarterback they want to take and take the one they feel is best for.
You're calling the wrong show. Because, actually, you're calling the right show because I am the show to call, but you know what I'm saying. But what I mean is that I'm not about to tell you that you're wrong in your thinking, especially because it's the Browns. If it was somebody else, it would be different because you're the Browns, you have the number 1 overall pick, but plus the 4th overall pick. You should take the best player. Now, what I would say to you, Ethan, is that you have to remember that the Cleveland Browns have a history of messing up on quarterbacks. They picked Tim Couch instead of Donovan McNabb. They passed up on Aaron Rodgers. They passed up on Drew Brees, okay? They passed up on Big Ben Roethlisberger. And then they missed out on Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson. And so when you look at it from that perspective, they have such a horrid history in terms of missing out on quarterbacks that, you know something? There's no escaping that. So this is what the reality is. They are pressed more than any other team to make sure they have a quarterback, and that's what we're dealing with here.
But there is one thing that is different with the Browns, and that is that they have a starter now that they're going with this year so that they are not immediately pressed to put a rookie in. Answer this.
But Tyrod Taylor's not that dude. Come on now.
League and the 26th ranked defense can make the playoffs. Why can't Tyrod Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Josh Gordon, and the 14th ranked defense make the playoffs, and then you're grooming a quarterback? I think the Browns would be silly not to take Barkley.
Because when I'm thinking about grooming, it's like Tyrod Taylor. Look, he lost his job. That dude Peterman, if he wasn't so god-awful in his one start in L.A. when he threw about 5 interceptions in 3 minutes, Tyrod Taylor would have never got his job back. So when I look at it from that perspective, I'm of the mindset that you got to get yourself the best quarterback. The only excuse for me that the Browns have for passing up a quarterback, Ethan, on the very first overall pick is if they see no difference between the top 4 picks. Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, and Sam Darnold. If you see no difference, because you have the number 4 overall pick, you're going to get one of them. But if there's a guy that stands head and shoulders above the rest in your mind, you have absolutely got to take a quarterback with that position. Ethan, I got to go. I'm going to give you the last word. Go ahead real quick.
Agrees on those 4. What difference does it make?
Excuse me?
If nobody can agree on which of those 4
That's what I'm saying. I agree with that.
Right,
That's
so
my point.
Take one.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Ethan. Why are you arguing with me? I'm agreeing with you. That's exactly what I'm saying. If you see no difference between the 4, but if there is a difference, you got to take the one where the difference lies. Appreciate the call, buddy. Thank you so much. Andre in Texas, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
What's up, Stephen A? How you doing today?
I'm good. Talk to me, bro.
All right, here's what I want to talk about. Josh Allen real quick. I know you're saying to forgive him and all of that. I can't disagree with you. But here's my problem with the whole situation. He had all these media things set up today. He was supposed to come on your show. If you really want to show that you're contrite and you're apologetic, come on the show, show your face, and make your apology like that.
Can I stop you? Can I stop you, Dre? Because I want you to think about this for a real second here, okay? Okay? You listening, Dre? Now this is me and you. Now this is me and you talking, all right? Dre, your point's valid. We can't dispute that. Here's the problem. This ain't a brother that had interviews scheduled today. This is a brother that had interviews scheduled the day of the draft. One word, one false word, one false look on his face, one false movement with his body language or anything can cost him. He's 21 years of age. He's got an agent. He's got a lawyer. He's got a marketing team advising him against that. Dre, what he's supposed to do?
You're supposed to man up. If you want everybody to forgive you, you're going to be the face of a franchise. Everybody's going to be looking at you to come in and be the quarterback to lead.
That's not what I'm asking you, Dre. Because Dre, listen to what I'm saying to you. My brother, you're not being fair. And here's why I'm saying. He could do that tomorrow. So if you want him to do it tonight, it's before he gets drafted. If Dre, if you made a mistake, right, but you think the slightest thing could end up costing you millions, and everybody around you is advising you to stand pat and chill, whether it's for 24, 48 hours or the weekend, come on, Dre, you can't sit up there and look at a 21-year-old and say, you know what, man up. Come on, Dre.
Well, okay, so what's he going to do when he get in the league then?
Well, once he gets in the league, you in the league, you ain't going anywhere. But the fact of the matter is that you got to worry about your money now. Once you sign on the dotted line, whatever you do doesn't compromise your dollars. So then all of a sudden, then you can just do what you got to do. But right now, no matter how right you may be, no matter how righteous you might be, you're going to sit up there and be calculating. We make those decisions every day as grown men. How we going to fault him for doing it as a 21-year-old?
I'm not faulting him. All I'm trying to say is that he called you to make that apology, which, okay, that's fine. But to get ahead of this, just show it. I mean, these teams, you really think this is going to hurt his draft status seriously? I mean, if they really want
Dre, if it was anybody but the NFL, I would say no. But the NFL, Dre, you never know. Warren Sapp slipped, bro. Warren slaps. I mean, you see some of the players that have been picked ahead of folks just think about it. They passed up on Aaron Rodgers because of attitude issues. Come on, bro. Come on, Dre. You know that.
You're right about that.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's the NFL, man. Listen, man. They'll call you. Man, you might cost yourself millions of dollars for passing gas. That's how bad the NFL is. You just don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's my other point. I just wanted to say one more point. I watched Adam Silver on the show the other day, man, and for a league, the NBA, that's why they're growing so much. This guy has a pulse on everything that's going on in the league. You can see the joy on his face when he talks about the league. I mean, you just look at him talking and you get excited. And I mean, it's totally different than what's going on in the NFL.
But that's because, Dre, it's more personable. You ingratiate yourself with your audience when you're a basketball player. You're wearing tank tops and shorts and you're close to the crowd. You're the NFL. You're wearing pads. You've got a helmet blocking your identity. You're distant from the fan base. So it's more of a challenge to ingratiate yourself with the audience now with the NFL than it is with the NBA. But Dre, I got to go. I appreciate the call, man. Call back anytime. Elliot in New Jersey, real quick. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
What's up, Stephen A?
Talk to me, man.
How's it going? I woke up in a good mood today. It was a good morning. Then I look at my phone. I see all these notifications about Josh Allen and his tweet. He's going to fall out of the top 5, the top 10. I just want to say how ridiculous that has been. Because the guy sent a tweet 6 years ago You're not going to draft him now?
Here's my problem with what you're saying, Elliot. You keep bringing up the 6 years. I go deeper than that. It's not that it was 6 years ago. It's that he was a kid. That's the issue. Forget the 6 years. He was a kid. We talk about a 14, 15-year-old kid that did what he did. We talking about him identifying with rap lyrics from Rick Ross, right? Stop Scheming. We're talking about him picking it from Modern Family, which was a popular show on ABC. That's what we're talking about here. So the fact is that you're looking at a teenage kid that just sent the wrong kind of tweet, and that's justification to sit up there and diminish the guy. I can't be that unfair to that kid. I can't do that. And I think that we've got something really, really wrong with our society if we're looking to hold a kid accountable, because we are truly being hypocritical and not looking in the mirror. Because I'm here to tell you something right now. If ESPN knew some of the things I did when I was 14 or 15 years of age, I wouldn't be employed. I wouldn't be here. I'm trying to tell you right now.
Stephen, I 100% agree with you. I don't know what this world has come to. I'm pissed off. It's stupid. It's idiotic. It's ridiculous. Everyone's got to grow up, and I'm pissed off. I'm signing off.
All right, man. I appreciate it. I don't blame you. But you know what? I would say to you about it, Elliot. You're being a bit premature because there's nothing to be ticked off about if he gets drafted number one. What if he gets drafted number one tonight by Cleveland? What's there to be ticked off about? Wait and see. That's what makes this draft arguably the most compelling in years. 888-SAY-ESPN is 888-729-3776. More of your calls in a minute before the great Adam Schefter comes on live from the NFL draft in Dallas, Texas, where I should have been today, by the way. I should have really, really been there. But that's a different story for another day. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
Let's go back to the phone. David in Toronto, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, big time.
Go ahead.
All right. Josh Allen, I think it's a joke. You're talking about tweets here. Didn't Baker Mayfield get arrested? And Cam Newton, he got arrested.
Well, stop right there. Stop right there. What does one have to do with the other? Because it's not like when it happened, we didn't talk about them too. So why is it that it's a problem? I mean, it's not like those subjects were ignored. Baker Mayfield is believed that he's a risk because of those transgressions, which have been well documented. When Cam Newton was going through what he went through, those things were well documented. So why are you acting like those things weren't mentioned?
I'm saying it's a joke. I'm saying it's funny. I'm saying it's a good thing. It means these guys have something about them. They're different. They have something in their mentality where they can't go with what everyone else is doing. They have something to say. They want to put themselves out there, and good, bad, doesn't matter. They want to be out there. They want to be the star. These are the people that we need to be running the show. And the guys that are actually trying to say it's something bad, I think these are the people we need to be looking into. See what's bad about you. Why don't we talk to people that you went to college with? Find out what you were about. Because you want to talk about fair. What a kid did when he was
totally
20?
That's no, not when he was 20, when the kid was 14, 15. David, I totally agree with you. Which is what I just finished saying. So I completely agree. Appreciate the call. Thank you so much. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. A jury has reached a verdict in the whole Bill Cosby trial. That has nothing to do with sports, but damn it, I'm interested in it, so I'm watching. Just want to let y'all know. Back to the phones. Mike in Denver, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Mike.
Hi, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Just wanted to chime in on Josh Allen, man. Yeah, get a boy some, give him a break, man. I hope he don't fall out the first round, behind this. Like you say, the boy 14, 15 years old. And then when you get to the point about, I'm talking about the rap music, that's what goes on today, So, like you said, don't just totally let him off the hook, but you got to give him credit for being a kid, and all kids, do it this day. So we'll just keep an eye on him now as he, grow up and make sure that it don't happen no more. So that's what I feel about the whole thing.
Like I told him last night when we were on the phone. Oh, my goodness. Breaking news. I'm sorry, Mike. I got to run. I appreciate it. Bill Cosby convicted of 3 counts of sexual assault. The great Bill Cosby, once upon a time America's dad, has been found guilty on all 3 counts of sexual assault. This is unreal. This is unreal. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. I'm going to repeat one time, ladies and gentlemen, one more time. I know this is a sports show. It's ESPN, but I'm watching news. The great Bill Cosby has been found guilty on all counts of aggravated indecent assault. One TV said it was sexual assault. Folks outside the courtroom hugging one another, apparently happy that he has been found guilty. This is happening outside a courtroom in Norristown, Pennsylvania, as we speak. Bill Cosby, America's dad, found guilty on all 3 counts of sexual assault. I'm sorry, aggravated indecent assault is what ABC News is saying. CNN had said something else. Bill Cosby found guilty. Whoa. Back to the phones. Cam in Florida. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Hey, Stephen A. How's it going, man?
I'm all right. Talk to me.
I want to talk about the block from LeBron and Oladipo.
Go ahead, man.
Do you think by being in Cleveland, you know, with a biased call, you think he would have got that same call had it been in Indiana?
Yeah. I think it was too close to call. In real time, it was incredibly close. And I think when you're a superstar the caliber of LeBron James, you're going to get that call. At that moment in the game, you're going to get that call.
Okay. And then last thing, I had Philadelphia, Cleveland in the conference championship, but I'm going to change my pick. I'm going to have Philadelphia, and get this, my upset pick, Washington.
I don't see that. I see Washington winning Game 6. I don't see Washington winning Game 7. That's just me. I don't see that happening. I don't see Washington winning Game 7 back in Toronto. I don't see that, but I do see them winning. I do see them winning Game 6 in the nation's capital tomorrow night. Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more at Progressive.com. Lots of stuff to get into. Hour number 2 because the NFL draft is taking place tonight in Dallas, Texas. Can't wait to continue talking about that. What's going to happen? Jets, Giants, Sam Darnold, where he's going to land. That's an interesting topic. Josh Allen is dominating the news because of his racially insensitive tweets. That's dominating the news. Adam Schefter will be on with us in hour number 2 as well. And I'm quite sure, even though this is sports, there are going to be some people who want to comment about the fact that Bill Cosby has been found guilty on all 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. Wow. Hard to figure out what to say. Hour number 2 up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. As an aside, non-sports related, the great Bill Cosby, comedian, actor, writer, director extraordinaire, the man formerly known as America's dad, has been found guilty in his sexual assault trial. 3 counts. He's been found guilty. Probably won't do jail time according to the lawyers, but clearly everything about him is officially changed. Some would say that was before the verdict, but a verdict coming down like this, 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. He's been found guilty on all 3 charges. 888-729-3776 is 888-SAY-ESPN. Want to get back to these calls and want to get back to a few other things we want to talk about because, again, let me just say this about these playoffs. These playoffs have been mesmerizing. I thought last year that I was going to be upset at the NBA for years to come when Kevin Durant went to Golden State. But guess what? Golden State's about to go up against New Orleans. That is not a gimme. That series could easily go 7 games. Kevin Durant's got to go up against Anthony Davis. Klay Thompson's got to go up against Jrue Holiday. And I mean the supporting cast, along with the coaching of Alvin Gentry, who was the former lead assistant for Steve Kerr when they won their first title years ago. You can't dismiss anything about these New Orleans Pelicans. And Alvin Gentry, who's had a successful venture coaching in Phoenix once upon a time, the man knows what he knows about basketball. And I'm here to tell you something right now. It can end up being a very interesting series. I thought that the Oklahoma City Thunder were done last night, particularly when they were down by 25. By 25. And then all of a sudden, with 8:35 left in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden, Russell Westbrook went berserk. Paul George wasn't too shabby himself, by the way, 34 points. But Russell Westbrook had 45 and 15. Took 39 shots to do it, but nevertheless, he did it. Bottom line is this, no matter which way you slice it, it was a Herculean performance. I think it was better than what we saw from LeBron James, and what we saw from LeBron James was fantastic. And by the way, speaking of LeBron James, Kobe Bryant's the Black Mamba. He's a 5-time champion. You want to go the most rings route? I can do that. It's hard for me to put anybody over Kobe, but as an overall talent, considering what you're capable of doing on both ends of the floor, the physical specimen that he is, the way he affects a game, LeBron James is on the Mount Rushmore of NBA annals. The only two you can definitively say come before him is Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, there's just no way to slice it. But in the same breath, if you're LeBron James, imagine what we'd be thinking about you if you had Kyrie Irving alongside you. Just like if you were Kobe, imagine what we'd be saying if you had Shaq beside you. Then again, we probably wouldn't appreciate Kobe nearly as much if he played his entire career with Shaq, which is why he didn't want to do that. But it's just so interesting watching all of this stuff unfold. If I'm the New Orleans Pelicans, let me say this to you. I trade Boogie Cousins. If I'm the Washington Wizards, I do everything I can to get Boogie Cousins because I think he's perfect in the Eastern Conference for them because he can pass and he can shoot. Plus, he's a big presence in the post. If I'm John Wall and Bradley Beal, that's what I need because I'm getting nothing from Gortat or Mahinmi. So that's what I try to do. And would I be willing to give up Otto Porter for him? You're damn right. I'd be willing to do it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but he is going to be a free agent this summer. It's worth discussing. It's worth contemplating and thinking, particularly for a team like the Washington Wizards who don't have any cap space. Going through the rest of the playoffs, I expected the Wizards to lose last night. I knew Toronto would pull away because I don't like the Wizards on the road, but I love them at home. And even though Toronto will come in looking to close the deal against them, I truly believe in my heart that the Wizards will win tomorrow night in the nation's capital, Chocolate City. Then they'll lose Sunday. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. I'm also looking at that other series, Boston and Milwaukee. I expect Boston to win this series in 6 games. That's what I predicted at the beginning. I think they'll go on to Milwaukee tomorrow night, and I think they'll win. Milwaukee just can't shoot that well. The Greek Freak and Middleton don't have much help. I expected better from Eric Bledsoe than I have received. Terry Rozier has outplayed him. I didn't anticipate that. I didn't expect that. That's a problem. But I still believe that Boston overall is a better team. I think Jaylen Brown is an emerging star in this young star in this league. And I think once Kyrie and Gordon Hayward comes back, I think special things are in store for Boston. Here's an interesting question, and it's entirely premature. But it's considering the likelihood that Boston's going to be the one to meet Philly in the semifinals. Ladies and gentlemen, when Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving come back, do you think Boston is good enough to beat Philly? Once upon a time, I thought, of course. I'm not so sure now. Worth thinking about, y'all. Worth thinking about. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Houston took care of Minnesota last night. I'm glad Karl Anthony Towns showed up and played like he's capable of playing. This team was just tailor-made for Houston. They were completely overmatched, and Houston showed it. They just have too many shooters. They just can explode. Minnesota's not the team for them. Now Houston, next series, going up against a Utah. That's another team, tailor-made for them. You go up against Oklahoma City, could be a little bit different, but going up against Utah is somewhat tailor-made for them. Don't see that working out for Utah as well. I think the one team that's made that's made to compete against Houston are the Golden State Warriors. If it's New Orleans, I think New Orleans is tailor-made for Houston. But then again, what if Drew Holiday's sticking James Harden? Maybe the best one-on-one player in basketball. We don't know. All of those things are worth considering. These playoffs are just sensational. And as it pertains to the NFL draft, ladies and gentlemen, the suspense comes to me from this perspective. How the hell is Baker Mayfield now being considered as the number one pick in the draft? I don't have a problem with it. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. He was a two-time Heisman runner-up. He's thrown for 83 touchdowns and just 14 interceptions in the last 2 years. I love Baker Mayfield. But y'all talked all of this junk about him, and now he might be the number one overall pick. And my belief is very simple. Cleveland has to get it right at the quarterback spot. They have to get it right. They absolutely have to get it right. The most asinine suggestion I've ever heard was folks saying they should take two quarterbacks with the first and the fourth overall pick. That's just stupid. That's just throwing away a pick. That's just throwing away a top 4 pick. Makes no sense. You're the Giants. I personally believe you have to take Saquon Barkley because reports are circulating right now, ladies and gentlemen, reports are circulating that the Giants are strongly considering trading down. I think that's a mistake. Take the best player. Yes, you have a multitude of needs, but you need a game changer. You don't find that everywhere. Do that. Get Saquon Barkley and work your magic, David Gettleman, doing something else. I don't like the Sam Darnold pick because you believe Eli Manning's got 2 years left in him. So why draft a quarterback I'm not going to play now? I don't want to do that. Let me get a stud at the running back spot. I might not need my quarterback to be a stud if I got Barkley with Odell Beckham Jr. They might make him look like a stud. You're the New York Jets. You've got to take a quarterback, period. And let me tell you something. With what you've heard about Josh Allen's upside, if Sam Darnold is not there and Baker Mayfield is not there, the New York Jets have got to take Josh Allen. I don't knock Josh Rosen for his verbiage. I don't knock Josh Rosen for his mouth. I got questions about Josh Rosen because of his arm strength, his durability. I think he's a little bit too skinny for the NFL pro level. And more importantly, I watched him this year, particularly when they played against Memphis. When UCLA played against Memphis, I was not impressed. I know he can play. But I just wasn't sold. Those are the kind of things I look at. And if there's a quarterback that should drop out of the top 5, it should be Rosen. But I could be wrong because I haven't seen enough from him, and I don't want to be unfair to him. I'm just not sold. I'm just not sold. I'm watching the TV right now. Bill Cosby's walking out of the courthouse in Norristown, Pennsylvania. Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just a bit devastated at what I'm seeing. I mean, based on all the reports, you kind of knew this was coming. But to just see it on screen, breaking news, Bill Cosby found guilty in sexual assault trial, is just a stab to the heart. When you do the crime, you got to do it. You got to do the time. It's just what we once thought of this man. It's just unreal. It truly, truly is. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Mike in New Jersey. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, man.
Hey, Stephen A. Always an honor.
Thank you.
I have a question about Damian Lillard. I know they've been eliminated for a while now, but my question is, I know for the last few years he's been trying to get some free agents to Portland.
He ain't going to do that. Free agents ain't coming to Portland, man. I can tell you that.
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
They ain't coming to Portland. Look, it's my job, and I don't want to come to the Pacific Northwest. Not that often. You understand? I personally think, as much as I love Oklahoma City and their fan base, I personally miss folks having a team in Seattle. I really, really do. I mean, Portland's a great city. Please don't get me wrong. And their fan base is fabulous. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but it's a long flight. It's a long flight, you know? And I just think that, and it's not a major top 10 market. And I think that's the kind of thing that hurts them. When you think Pacific Northwest, you think Seattle before you think Portland. That's just the truth. And I don't know how you can avoid that. All right?
Do you think Damian Lillard will, lose his loyalty because he's tired of losing and tired of not being noticed and go to a big market team?
I think he should. I announced that months ago. I really, really did. I think it's time I would love to see Damian Lillard in a major market, New York specifically, New York or LA. I would love to see Damian Lillard in one of those markets. I think that's where, with his personality, his game, his big shot tendencies, Drew Holiday's performance against him notwithstanding, I believe that Damian Lillard should be in a bigger market. I firmly believe that. That's where I'm at with it. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Dan in Kansas City, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hi, Stephen A. That was some comeback. Russell Westbrook really took over. Now I want to ask you, does Billy Donovan have to use Melo off the bench? What do you think about that?
I don't understand what you just said, sir.
I mean, the way Melo is struggling, Billy Donovan should use Melo off the bench.
Well, listen, here's the problem. He isn't using Melo at all, and they looked better without him. And Melo looks mentally gone. He looks like he's not there. And I think it's incredibly alarming that that's the situation, but it is what it is. And, it hurts to see. But last night they made this run without him. And you know what's the ultimate indictment against him, Dan? It's the fact that he was drafted in the same draft as LeBron as a top 3 pick. And LeBron is still the greatest in the world. And there's been such a precipitous drop off with Melo, that it's unbelievable. It just is. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. Jay in Ohio, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Jay?
Hey, Stephen. Glad for taking my call, man. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, man.
This what I have for you. One, I want to make a comment about the call. Call before last night, LeBron, the ball was knocked out of bounds by the other guy, so they got that call.
That's
and LeBron
right.
maybe goaltended. Is that even? We say that's even.
That's even.
All right, then two, I wanted to go with, I'm thinking Cleveland, to keep LeBron in Cleveland, we're going to go after Boogie Cousins in New Orleans and give New Orleans Kevin Love, playoff experience, a champion, and a veteran savvy. What you think about that?
I think it's possible. I think it's something that if Kevin Love is healthy, I think it's something that's possible for New Orleans to entertain because Kevin Love complements them because he can shoot the 3 and spread the floor. But he's a free agent. Boogie Cousins is a free agent. And so you don't have to sit up there and move him for somebody else. Because remember, to move Boogie Cousins, you got to sign and trade him. And I doubt that's going to happen. So it's one of those situations where he has the ability to go there. Now, they don't have the money to get him. And certainly the Washington Wizards, who I think he would be best suited for, don't have the money to get Boogie Cousins. So where's Boogie Cousins going to go? Because I don't think the Lakers want him. Lakers don't need Boogie Cousins. They don't want to spend their money in that direction. They want to spend their money on versatile dudes that can play the 2 and the 3 position. That's what they want to play. They don't want to spend that money on Boogie. So Boogie might find himself as the odd man out here because New Orleans has thrived without him. Let's remember that.
Oh, yeah. I think he'll be way better in the East Conference.
Yes.
Playing with LeBron, alongside LeBron, give him another.
I don't think that's going to work because I don't think that would be enough for LeBron to stay. I don't think it would be enough for LeBron to stay. I personally believe LeBron James is gone. I've watched these guys long enough. LeBron James ain't trying to work this hard to compete for titles. He's not trying to work this hard. The more work and effort he has to put out, the more of a possibility it is that he ain't going to stick around for this. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Kentrell in Atlanta, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Stephen, I appreciate you. Thank you for taking my call.
Go ahead, man.
First point is Russell Westbrook. He's the most confusing player talented play I've ever seen in my whole life. 1-2 games in a row, he's below average. He looks not even like a top 10 player. And then last night, he could look like one of the best players in the league.
Well, listen. This dude looked Herculean last night. It was a sensational performance by him. Unbelievable.
So, do you see his game where he's so inconsistent with when he's playing with stars? He's only truly great Russell Westbrook when he can take over and really be Russell Westbrook.
Well, you got to remember, you can't do that. You can't do that all the time. And he's smart enough to know that. What you should love about Russell Westbrook, the kind of thing you should be absolutely in love with him right now about, is that the Oklahoma City Thunder was on their home court. They were on the brink of elimination. They were stinking up the joint, down 25 with 8:35 left, and Russell Westbrook said, no, this is not going to happen on my watch, and took over. And I'm talking about instantly. And think about this for a second, Kentrell. It wasn't like at halftime. It wasn't like they went into halftime down and all of this. No, it was a timeout. And this dude came out from a timeout, a completely different man. Like, enough. I've had it. And took over. How many people in the NBA can do that?
Only Russ. Only Russ.
I wouldn't say only Russ. LeBron could do it. LeBron could do it. You know, the superstars can do it, but only them. James Harden can do it. Anthony Davis can do it. Kawhi Leonard, I'm not sure. Kevin Durant can do it. Steph Curry can do it. That was something special. It was something special, man. Chris in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Stephen A., I just lost my train of thought of that previous caller 2 callers ago. When you mentioned about LeBron leaving, even if they were to acquire Boogie Cousins, you said that LeBron, I'm a paraphrase here, so I don't want to misquote you, but you said LeBron doesn't want to have to work this hard to compete for a championship.
Yeah.
What, Stephen A.?
Yeah.
Come on, really?
Yeah. I'm talking about you're the only one scoring. I'm talking about log in 41, 42, 43 minutes. I'm talking about looking around you and getting no help from anybody else. I mean, Kyle Korver hit 5 threes and dropped 19. But you got to pray that Kyle Korver is going to do that because Kevin Love is shooting 2 for 11. J.R. Smith is 0 for 8 and 0 for 6 on 3-pointers. Tristan Thompson is riding the bench because Ty Lue considers him a Kardashian. I mean, everywhere you turn, it's all kinds of problems. And if you're LeBron, you ain't trying to work that hard. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I misinterpreted. It made it seem like he didn't want to compete for a championship, like he wanted the easy way out. Okay.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm just saying that load. Listen, when I was in the locker room talking to Dwayne Wade prior to Game 5 in Philly the other night against the Sixers, Dwayne Wade just looked. He said, "LeBron's just so damn good. All of y'all forget the amount of work he's having to put in right now. You understand? When you in your 15th year, you don't want to have to do that." Listen, that's what Dwayne Wade said to me. And that was all he said. But isn't that a very profound statement?
No, that is. I mean, I can't refute that. But that's not actually why I called. I just lost my train of thought when you had said that. Okay. But I want to jump real quick into the Oklahoma City real quick.
Listen, I got to cut you off. I'll try to put you back on, Chris, but I got the great Adam Schefter coming on next, so I got to go to break, all right? You take it easy. Stick around. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show. The great Adam Schefter is up next live from the NFL Draft. The great Adam Schefter. He's up next with your boy Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person.
Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. Rare moment that I get to pause and defer to other people, but I proudly do that whenever I have my next guest on the line. Elite at what he does, absolutely elite, NFL insider extraordinaire for ESPN, the great Adam Schefter is on the line with yours truly right now. What's up, buddy? Good afternoon. How you doing?
Thank you for the kind words, Stephen A. I defer to be with you, and it is an honor to be with you.
Always,
Thank you.
always an honor. You know I mean it. Here's the deal. This day is so hectic. Talk to me about this particular draft compared to all the others you've covered. And by the way, Adam, when you answer that question, tell me how many drafts you've covered in your career.
Well, I've covered every draft since 1990, so this should be my 28th draft or so.
Go ahead.
And I would say that we're living in a different day and age, and it's become readily apparent in 2 of the last 3 years, right? Where the draft got underway 2 years ago, Larry Tunsil projected the top 3 pick, top 5 pick all of a sudden, unleashed on the internet, on social media, pictures of him smoking from a bong. And all of a sudden, where is Larry Tunsil to go? Is the video authentic? Who unearthed this video? Where did it come from? How did this happen? All these questions that all of a sudden come to me on draft day. And so you've got a situation there where we've never seen anything like that before. And then last night, Mort texted me about the time Josh Allen was calling you, that there's a situation developing with Josh Allen. And again, it's another one of these situations. We don't know where this came from. He had basically deleted the books. It came from his high school years. For those who haven't heard, and I'm sure everyone has, racially insensitive tweets. And somebody screenshotted them, captured them, and posted them. Or retweeted them. However they did it. I mean, what was it?
Adam, you're breaking up a little bit. You're going a little bit in and out wherever you are, Adam. We're talking to Adam Schefter right here with the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio. Adam, repeat that last part about Josh Allen that you said. Let me make sure my audience hears you clearly.
Basically, this all happened last night about 2 a.m.
Yep.
Chris Mortensen was texting me about the time Josh Allen was calling you.
Yep.
And we really have never seen anything like this because apparently he had deleted those tweets, but somebody had screenshotted them and given them to Yahoo, and Yahoo published those pictures, tweets last night. And so now, in the aftermath of that, Josh Allen is left to explain himself. And look, the fact of the matter is, this is a topic that in today's day and age is unacceptable. I mean, you can't have racially insensitive tweets like that. You can't have racially insensitive attitudes, beliefs, thoughts. And so, to me, it's a totally different variety. It's a 2018 version where we're going to remember what happened to Josh Allen before this draft, the way that you remember what happened to Ickey Woods or Barrett Robbins before a Super Bowl,
right?
Laremy Tunsil before a draft. And this is something that Josh Allen's going to have to answer himself in the locker room to his teammates. I don't believe it's going to have a huge impact on his draft stock and status. I still believe that.
Do you think it could prevent him from going number 1 overall?
No, I think the Browns made their decision, as Mort said, the Browns made their decision 5-6 weeks ago. And I don't think that the Browns woke up this morning and said, whoa, what's this? We're not taking Josh Allen. Look, the sense around the league right now, Stephen A., is that Baker Mayfield's going number 1. And whoever the Browns have decided on, they decided on. John Dorsey, the GM, decided on 5-6 weeks ago.
We're talking.
So it's not like all of a sudden the events of today and last night are going to influence what Cleveland does at number 1. That's not going to happen.
We're talking to Adam Schefter right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Considering that, Adam, let's go to Baker Mayfield. Right. I understand it's lazy thinking to compare him to Johnny Manziel. I totally get that. And I think it's pretty much unfair to him because he's accomplished more. He's been to the playoffs twice, college football playoffs. He's thrown for 83 touchdowns and just 14 interceptions the last 2 years. He won the Heisman as a runner-up a couple of other times. But I'm looking at him right now, his size combined with his eccentric tendencies, the fact that, he's just in your face with his emotions. Some people would look at that and say, if you're the Cleveland Browns, that's the one organization that can afford to make a slip up at the quarterback position. You're telling me that even with all of that, they're still willing to roll the dice on Baker Mayfield? They feel that confident in him?
Well, if that's who they're picking, that's who they feel that confident. Yes. Now, let me say this. Scott McCloughan, the former Redskins GM who worked in the Seattle and San Francisco front offices, and deserves a lot of the credit for helping put together the 49ers teams that went to the NFC Championship games under Jim Harbaugh, and the Seattle Seahawks team that drafted Russell Wilson, guy that did an unbelievable job with personnel, who bounced around to Washington and got fired there or let go. He has been working with John Dorsey, and John Dorsey trusts and believes in and relies on Scott McCloughan for valuable insight. Scott McCloughan, before he went to work for Cleveland here, was an unabashed, huge Baker Mayfield supporter. Now, again, we don't know that that is the pick for sure, Stephen A. We've not heard the Browns say that. They've kept it secret. We are going by what we are hearing from other people around the league, coaches, GMs, personnel people, who are of the mind right now that Baker Mayfield is going to be the number one. I'm not telling you he's going to be. Like, for all we know, we're going to have the draft start tonight, and Sam Darnold's going to be the number one pick. Okay, that could happen. But I guess for now, we're going to operate under the assumption that Baker Mayfield is the likely choice. And if that's the case, he's the likely choice because that's who they believe is worthy of that slot. They believe that his production, look, I've spoken to personnel men who love Baker Mayfield. I've spoken to coaches who love Baker Mayfield. I've also spoken to people who are not big fans of his. And guess what? The same is true of Sam Darnold and Josh Allen, Josh Rosen. There are teams that love each of those guys, and there are teams that don't like each of those guys. So there's no Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, surefire, number one overall pick in this draft at the quarterback position that you say everybody, if they had the number one pick, would take this guy. The opinions are across the board. And the Browns' opinion right now seems to be that Baker Mayfield is the right guy. And we'll see how that works out. Well, Adam, there are people who think Baker Mayfield is going to be a great pro, and there are people who think he's going to flame out.
Adam Schefter, here's where I'm concerned, because the belief was that the Jets moved up to number 3 because they had their eyes targeted on Baker Mayfield. Assuming he goes number 1, where does that leave the New York Jets in terms of quarterbacks that they actually want? Does it mean that Josh Rosen could go as high as number 3? Does it mean that Josh Allen might get grabbed? What does it mean from what you're hearing about the Jets?
Well, first and foremost, the Jets did not trade up to number 3 to go get Baker Mayfield. Okay. They traded up to number 3 to go get one of these quarterbacks. They traded up to number 3 because they believed that they liked, in this particular draft, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and Josh Allen and Josh Rosen. They liked all those guys. Now, the way that Josh Rosen could wind up as a Jet would be if the Browns did go Baker Mayfield and the Giants pulled a curveball and went Sam Darnold at 2, which, again, I don't think would shock people, but I think it would be, right now, the scenario that more people are not looking for. If that were the case, I think the Jets have no problem sitting there at number 3 and choosing between Josh Rosen and Josh Allen. It would not surprise me if Josh Rosen were that guy. Okay, but if Baker Mayfield does go 1 and Barkley goes 2, I think the Jets are overjoyed and thrilled to sit there and go take Sam Darnold.
Is there any possible way that the Browns might have hoodwinked everybody and they decide to go Saquon Barkley with number 1 overall because they know they have the number 4 overall pick and only 2 of those top 4 quarterbacks can be taken, so they end up getting a quarterback that they wanted along with Saquon Barkley? What about that possibility?
There is the possibility in my mind that the Browns have hoodwinked everybody here, but not to take a running back. They are going to take a quarterback. Again, the sense is it's Baker Mayfield. We do not know that it's Baker Mayfield, and until we hear that name called, we will not know it is Baker Mayfield. Do I think there's a part of me that still could hear the Browns walk to the podium at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight on ESPN and say Sam Darnold or Josh Allen? Yeah, I think that still could happen. Right? But again, we're all operating under the assumption right now that Baker Mayfield is the presumptive number 1 pick.
What's the belief about the New York Giants, Adam Schefter, in terms of what their priorities are? Is it a quarterback? Is it a running back because of Saquon Barkley's exceptional talent? Is it Bradley Chubb, that defensive end that's going to give them a pass rusher now that JPP is gone? What's the sense about what the Giants are looking to do priority-wise?
Well, I thought Dave Gettleman showed his cards during his press conference, basically. And you know what? There's really not a lot to hide when you're picking number 2. And you know that the Cleveland Browns are going to be taking a quarterback. Quarterback sounded risky. He made it sound risky, something that he was not willing to do. We talked about the questions that people had about each of the quarterbacks in this draft, and Dave Gettleman certainly had that. And he talked about the fear you have of taking a quarterback at number 2 and setting back your organization 5 years if you miss. Now, maybe he was hoodwinking us all, and maybe he just loves Sam Darnold, and he's going to take Sam Darnold at number 2 if and when the Browns pass him, and we'll all be surprised. again, that's part of draft night and part of the anticipation and intrigue and drama that surrounds the night. But he made it sound like his goal and mission was to land a gold jacket Hall of Famer, and he felt like the surest way to do that was not at the quarterback position. Now, again, he was effusive in his praise for Saquon Barkley, and I think that's why many people believe that he ultimately will wind up being the pick for the New York Giants tonight.
Last question. Of all the teams that we need to watch in this draft that could throw a monkey wrench into everything, or maybe not a monkey wrench per se, but could really surprise us with what they're doing, whether they move up, whether they move down, whatever the case may be, that has the power or the ability to alter the draft to some degree. Who's the one team we should keep our eyes on as this draft continues to unfold?
Well, Stephen, there are a lot of them, right? Buffalo and Arizona have talked about coming up to trade up for a quarterback. We've seen Baltimore, Seattle, Detroit, Tennessee all talk about moving back in the draft. I think New England, Philadelphia at 32 would be open to getting more picks. Keep in mind, Seattle at 18, Philadelphia at 32, don't have any second and third round picks. Philadelphia's second round pick went for Carson Wentz. Philadelphia's third-round pick went for Ronald Darby. They'd use those picks for those players again in a heartbeat. But I think those teams would like to get more picks, so maybe they move back. You hear about teams like New Orleans wanting to move up, perhaps. Buffalo, Arizona wanting to move up. Again, it all depends on how the board falls tonight before teams can decide what they're going to do and the moves they make. I think we could see a flurry of activity, teams moving all around the draft board. It usually is the case. Could be no different tonight. But again, the quarterbacks are always the story, and I think that they will be again tonight.
Adam Schefter, keep putting out that great work you're always putting out, buddy. You know I'll be watching. Thanks so much, man, and good luck. And
Have a great show.
Drink a lot of coffee, my brother. Take it easy.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, buddy. The one and only Adam Schefter, the great Adam Schefter, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. This week on the Adam Schefter podcast, he has Bradley Chubb, Minka Fitzpatrick, Luke Falk, and Isaiah Oliver. Listen on the ESPN app and Apple Podcasts. Your calls and more to close out the show in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Back to the phones we go before we get on out of here. Joe in Indiana, talk to me. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A., thanks for taking my call.
Go ahead, real quick, buddy.
Yep, big Colts fan. Trying to figure out what they're going to do. We know two quarterbacks will be off. Bradley Chubb and Barkley will be gone. Do we trade with probably Buffalo or Arizona, or do we take a guy like Denzel Ward, Roquan Smith with that sixth pick?
I like Roquan Smith. Personally, I like him, but my personal preference with Big Blue and the New York Giants is Saquon Barkley. Grab him. Do what you got to do. Because he's not only a running back, he's a dual threat because he can catch out of the backfield. Plus, he blocks, so he protects your quarterback. All three things will facilitate you, particularly with Odell Beckham Jr. and Sterling Shepard on the field of play. There is no doubt about that. Listen, here's the bottom line. If I am the Cleveland Browns, I take the quarterback that I want most. If I'm the Giants, I take Barkley. If I'm the Jets, I take Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold. All right? And if I'm the Browns, I take Bradley Chubb.
And that's what I was thinking. So the Colts are going to have an opportunity.
All right. I got to go. I got to interrupt you, my man, because I got to get on out of here. I'll holler at y'all in 22 hours. Tell him peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.